Hi, I wanted to talk about what I think of as a container because I hear this term misused a lot by a lot of people according to what I think of as my definition. So as always, you don't have to believe what I say. You take it or leave it. But in my opinion, a container is the energetic field which you set up when you have an intention to do something with a facilitator or teacher or practitioner. So if you just sign up for one session of some sort of healing modality, that one session is your container. If you sign up for like a weekend retreat, a week-long retreat, like a month-long teacher training program, all of these things have a start date and an end date, a start time and an end time, and there should be a very strong intention. So if you are signing up for a one-on-one, let's say healing session, even if it's like, let's say a massage therapy session, you probably have some kind of intention for going to that session. So your intention as the client would be what the container is for, what the container holds. So the stronger the container, the more that intention can be fulfilled. If it's a teacher training program or a group class or something that is set up by the teacher or the facilitator first, and then participants decides if they want to sign up or not, then the intention is set up by the teacher or facilitator. So a teacher training program, for example, probably the intention is to teach a certain number of students a certain amount of curriculum so that they have mastery over that curriculum, have some sort of embodied wisdom, and perhaps they are going to be eligible for some sort of certification at the end so that they can use this modality or use their gained knowledge and wisdom to help other people. That would be the intention. So if there's some sort of container without an intention, that's not a very strong container. So the stronger the intention, the deeper and more effective the work can be. It is, any questions on that? It is really easy to break a container. It is really easy to weaken a container. And in my opinion, the container only needs to be as strong as the work is supposed to be. So for example, if you go to like an open talk where there might be even like up to 150 people in the room, and it's like a sliding scale donation-based talk, let's say on a Buddhist topic or something like that, that container does not need to be very strong because the work that's going to be happening in that container is not supposed to necessarily go that deep. It's mind-based, it's knowledge-based. There's probably not going to be any kind of exercises. And like the setup is such that the work cannot go that deep, and that is okay. However, if you intend to do really deep work, the container needs to be extraordinarily strong. So a lot of things can weaken or break the container. And this is, again, just my opinion. If there's a group, this might be slightly controversial, what I'm going to say. If there's a group, in my opinion, if people are paying different things for that exact same experience, it breaks the container. So if the facilitator sets up like a BIPOC discount or student discount or local people's discount or something like that, like if you're holding a retreat in a developing country and local people want to attend that retreat and it's kind of way out of their price range because it's set for foreigners, sometimes there's like a local people's rate. In my opinion, that changes the feeling inside the container completely. If someone's late, if either the practitioner, facilitator, teacher, or the student client is late, that breaks the container. If you start late, end late, if there is no intention, if the facilitator starts to use the space or time for themselves, like, have you ever had a narcissistic type of practitioner who starts to talk about themselves a lot during your time with them, and then suddenly you, the client, becomes a therapist and they become your client? They start to do their own processing work. That breaks the container. I've known some people who let's say they just gave birth and they're about to go back to work and they're like, oh, I need this. I need to give sessions. It's good for me. I'm like, oh, that's not good. I wouldn't want to be your client, because who's the session for then? You know, you're clearly not even a fool enough to hold space for your own experience, let alone hold space for someone else. And so a practitioner in that kind of position where they need the session for themselves to like bring out their best selves or something like that, to me, that breaks the container. It's not a good energy exchange, because already the energy is going to the practitioner in some kind of way that it shouldn't. There's usually a monetary exchange where the practitioner receives money for holding space, you know, holding the container for the client or the student. If you're paying the practitioner money and they're taking energy during the session, that's wrong, right? So yeah, this is what I think of as a container. Like, to me, the stronger the container, the deeper the work can go. And as you can see, it's relatively easy to break the container, and a lot of people don't even know what a container is. They don't have a concept. A lot of teachers and facilitators don't even really know what a container is. It's not taught, really. I mean, at least I haven't seen it taught or talked about. Or the word container is used, but people don't really know what goes into that. For example, I was attending a training/retreat where one of the rules was that no one was supposed to lose consciousness to a substance. So no one was supposed to drink or smoke any substances. And one of the teachers, one of the facilitators, I saw her smoking a cigarette in a common area for everyone to see. You know, that obviously broke the container. And part of what happened there, which is emblematic of how a container can be broken and what the purpose of a container is not just that she broke, you know, a rule that was written on a piece of paper. Number one, she didn't have enough integrity to even respect the container, right? So already there's something about the energy that's lost. On top of that, me as a student, I lost trust in her, right? And that's the main thing. A container requires trust. So perhaps you sign up for like a craniosacral session with a therapist you've never met before. There may be no reason for you to trust this therapist, except maybe something you felt when you looked at their website or something like that, or maybe you were recommended to them. But you probably trusted your intuition to go, and you're probably open to the experience. And I've certainly been in the facilitator position where people have shown up and they didn't trust me right off the bat. And they had this like dug in sense of skepticism. And their attitude was like, prove yourself to me, you know, and it's very hostile. This breaks the container. This is hard to work with, hard to deal with. And if there are especially a group of people, whoever is the most skeptical in the group, whoever is the most hostile in the group, whoever almost like their ego wants to break the container, you know, they show up there trying to prove the teacher wrong almost, you know, I think almost anyone has experienced something like feeling like, oh, I know better than you, you know, that feeling you have inside. Sometimes it's warranted, you know, sometimes the teacher is too narcissistic and is not a good teacher and they're breaking the container. But if the teacher is actually pretty good, but you go in there with a lot of skepticism that has to do with your own ego, you're breaking the container. And in a group of people, the person with the most hostility is the one that lowers the work to their level. So if there are like 9 people who are super eager, super open, super trust the facilitator and trust their intuitions that this is the event that they were supposed to go to, and then there's like this one person who is against what's happening, wants the teacher to prove themselves, has a know-it-all attitude, like, well, I'm going to nitpick on your definition of this word and, you know, like drag down the conversation to the level that they feel comfortable with their ego because they're not ready to heal. Then everyone loses because the teacher can't teach what they want to at their level that they're capable of, because the container can only hold the work that there's a level of commitment to by the student. I'm going to say that again. The student needs to be committed. If the student is not committed, the container is broken. And I see this a lot. Someone who signs up for a session thinking, oh, just because I signed up for the session and I physically showed up on time, I'm doing good, or I'm here, aren't I? You know, this kind of know-it-all attitude, but it's like, but you're not committed. You're not committed to what this work is supposed to do and how it's meant to shift you. You don't want to be shifted very clearly because you're resistant. So the amount of commitment from the student, like the willingness, the eagerness, and the strength of the intention from the student often translates into how deep the work can go. On the other side of, you know, who's holding this container, you know, the student has their part, the facilitator or teacher has their part. The teacher's personal boundaries, actually, personal boundaries and personal sense of integrity is sort of like the baseline. So if you have a teacher or facilitator who has bad personal boundaries, they run late all the time, they're scatterbrained, you know, they're doing this work just to earn money, but they're not really invested in, like they don't have passion, you know? Did you hear that? They don't have passion. This is like, no matter how committed and intentional the student, the container is already messed up, you know? So there's basically two factors, in my opinion, that creates a strong container: the commitment level and the strong intention from the student, and the student trusting the teacher, or the client trusting the facilitator. Obviously, therefore, then the teacher, facilitator, practitioner must be trustworthy, and they have to have integrity, and they have to have good, strong personal boundaries, because they ultimately are the ones holding the container. They're in the masculine position for the feminine participant to do their work. So a lot of interference right now. There's like a lot of dogs barking outside, and it's a little bit distracting. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there. Let me know if you have questions. Thank you for listening. Bye. See you later.